Hey, welcome to Let's Talk About Us. I'm Zach, and today we're covering some mainline news. This time by The Hill, by First Post, and by Washington Post. The Hill has a central rating. First Post, what is it called? Oh, it's all one word. Okay. Leans right. It has a mixed factuality rating. It's only been checked by one. And it has an ownership between Network 18, Reliance Industries, and Mukesh Ambani. And then Washington Post. Washington Post is, you guys know that leans left. Like, I don't have to show you that, right? I'll show it to you. Just in case anyone has never heard of Washington Post. Yeah, lean left by literally all of them, and owned by Jeff Bezos, which is weird. Like, when you think about it, right? You think of Jeff Bezos, and then you think of left-leaning politics. Those don't mesh, do they? Anyway, illegal voting by non-citizens is rare, yet Republicans are making it a major issue this election, which they definitely are. If you've been paying attention to any politics, they're screaming about the illegal votes. The Democrats are going to try to use it to steal the election. We'll get to it. Only U.S. citizens are eligible to vote in this fall's election for president and other top offices. While it is nothing new, the potential for non-citizens to register or vote has been receiving a lot of attention lately. Citing an influx of immigrants in recent years at the U.S.-Mexico border, Republicans have raised concerns about the possibility that non-citizens will be voting, and they have taken steps in numerous states to address that prospect, even though cases of non-citizens actually voting are rare. GOP officials have undertaken reviews of voter rolls, issued executive orders, and placed constitutional amendments on state ballots as part of an emphasis on thwarting non-citizen voting. Some Democrats contend the measures could create hurdles for legal voters, are unnecessary, and lead people to believe the problem of non-citizens voting is bigger than it really is. What does the law say? A 1996 U.S. law makes it illegal for non-citizens to vote in elections for president or member of Congress. Violators can be fined and imprisoned for up to a year. They can also be deported. When people register to vote, they confirm under penalty of perjury that they are U.S. citizens. Federal law requires states to regularly maintain their voter rolls and remove anyone who is ineligible, a process that could identify immigrants living in the country illegally. No state constitutions explicitly allow non-citizens to vote, and many states have laws that prohibit non-citizens from voting for state officials, such as governor or attorney general. But some municipalities in California, Maryland, and Vermont, as well as the District of Columbia, do allow voting by non-citizens in some local elections, such as for school board and city council. Personally, I don't think non-citizens should be able to vote in county, state, or any kind of elections. I think if you're not a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't get to participate in the United States citizen system, the thing that is set up for citizens. But that's my opinion. What does the data say? Voting by non-citizens is rare, yet Republican officials have highlighted voter registration reviews that turned up potential non-citizens. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, said this past week that more than 6,500 potential non-citizens have been removed from Texas voter rolls since 2021. Oh, I missed this earlier when I pre-read this. 65 potential non-citizens have been removed from Texas voter rolls since 2021. This article was written and published today, which means over the course of 3 years, this is what they found. Who have been referred for investigation by the Attorney General's office. Texas has almost 18 million registered voters. That's not even their population, that's their registered voters. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, a Republican, said in August that he referred for potential prosecution 138 apparent non-citizens found to not even close to Texas numbers have voted in the recent election, and 459 more who registered but did not vote. Those figures were higher than reviews from previous years, but a small fraction of the more than 8 million registered voters in Ohio. Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen, a Republican, recently announced that 3,251 people previously identified as non-citizens by the federal government are being switched to an active status on the state's voter registration polls. They'll be required to provide proof of citizenship and fill out a form to vote in November. Alabama has more than 3 million registered voters. In Georgia, Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger found that 1,634 potential non-citizens tried to register to vote between 1997 and 2022. I'm sorry, like, you have all of these Republican and right-wing people fear-mongering and talking about the illegals are going to steal the election, they're going to steal the vote. And meanwhile, Georgia's over here like, yeah, in the past 25 years, there have been 1,634 potential non-citizens. Though election officials flagged them and none were registered, Georgia registered millions of other voters during that time. Amazing. Some election administration experts have said the voter roll reviews show that current tools to flag non-citizen votes are working. Okay. What did the court say? Arizona provides a case study for the long-running attempts by the Republicans to prohibit non-citizen voting. Under 2004 voter-approved initiative, Arizona required a driver's license, birth certificate, passport, or other similar document to approve a federal voter registration application, which I do agree with. But the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 2013 that Arizona cannot require documentary proof of citizenship for people to vote in federal elections. The state responded by creating two classes of voters. For state and local elections, voters must provide proof of citizenship when they register or have it on file with the state. But because that cannot be required in presidential and congressional elections, tens of thousands of voters who have not provided proof of citizenship are registered only for federal election. An August order by a divided U.S. Supreme Court will allow voter registration forms submitted without documentary proof of citizenship to be rejected by Arizona counties while litigation over the law continues. People will be able to register to vote in presidential and congressional elections using a different federal form that requires people to swear they are citizens under penalty of perjury without requiring proof. Okay, so Arizona, we're going to dig into this a little more later, but Arizona has this whole thing going on. What's on the ballot? Republican-led legislatures in 8 states have proposed constitutional amendments on their November ballots, declaring that only citizens can vote. Okay, I agree with that. Proposals in Iowa, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Wisconsin would replace existing constitutional provisions stating that every citizen or all citizens can vote, with the new word saying only citizens can vote. Supporters contend the current wording does not necessarily bar non-citizens from voting, and those supporters would be wrong, because everything that they're changing literally says citizen. Every single, it's not like it says every person or every individual. It says citizen. This paragraph to me means it's just a bunch. This is a bunch of bluster. This is a bunch of low-ranking politicians trying to drum up fear at the polls. This is garbage. In Idaho and Kentucky, the proposed amendments would explicitly state no person who is not a citizen of the United States can vote. It already says that if it says the word citizen. Similar wording won approval from Louisiana voters 2 years ago. Voters in North Dakota, Colorado, Alabama, Florida, and Ohio passed amendments between 2018 and 2022 restricting voter to only citizens. Again, if it says citizens, it's already there. What else are states doing? Although non-citizen voting already is prohibited in the state constitution, Republican Governor Jeff Landry of Louisiana is continuing to draw attention to the issue. He recently signed an executive order requiring state agencies that provide voter registration forms to include a written disclaimer that non-citizens are prohibited from voting. If your voting registration system is set up correctly, this is meaningless. Like, your constitution for your state should already say citizen. In Georgia, Raffensperger last week required every Poland. I feel like I'm saying it wrong because this just sounds ridiculous. Post a sign in English and Spanish warning non-citizens that it is illegal to vote. Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas, citing significant growth of the non-citizen population in the state, set up a special email account Wednesday to report suspected violations of election laws. In Wisconsin, Republicans have filed a pair of similar lawsuits in recent weeks that challenge the state's process for verifying whether a registered voter is a citizen. The lawsuit seeks court orders requiring the Elections Commission to perform checks to ensure there are no registered voters who are non-citizens. Again, this is already kind of taken care of with the whole submitting like a social security card or a birth certificate or a passport. If you have a if you have a passport, like you're way above citizen. You're like, the government knows everything about you if you have a passport. North Carolina Republicans have sued the state election board, alleging it is not enforcing a new law aimed at removing people from voter rolls who seek jury duty exclusions because they're non-citizens. Now, this is such a dishonest take from North Carolina Republicans. How many people do you know that actually enjoy jury duty? Like, do you think people like just really love going to jury duty? We're gonna cover this a little bit more later, but the fact that people are saying they're not citizens on a jury duty form doesn't surprise me at all. Tennessee's top election office sent letters in June asking for proof of citizenship for more than 14,000 registered voters, though those who failed to respond will not be barred from voting. The list was based on data from the State Department of Safety and Homeland Security, which has information about whether residents were U.S. citizens when they first interacted with that department. Okay. Wait. So they sent this out, but they're not going to do anything about it. So even the people in Tennessee government are like, nah, we're going to pretend it's something, but we're not going to actually do anything. Yeah. Like, because they know this is all bluster, dude. What has Congress done? Republicans in Congress are pushing a bill known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act that would require proof of citizenship to register to vote, which I completely agree with. During a news conference about the legislation this year, House Speaker Mike Johnson did not provide specific examples of non-citizens voting, but insisted it is a concern. Of course he did. We all know intuitively that a lot of illegals are voting in federal elections, which they're not, he said. But it's not been something that is easily provable. Yeah, weird. Everybody knows this is going on, but like, don't ask me to prove it, bro. I can't fucking prove it. Don't ask me. The legislation passed the Republican-led House in July, largely along partisan lines, but has not come to a vote in the Democratic-led Senate. The Biden administration said it is strongly opposed and that laws against non-citizens voting are working. This is true. Laws against non-citizens voting are working to a certain degree. I definitely think we could tighten it up a little bit more, given what we've read. But like, it's not that much of a tightening. Literally just saying, hey, when you register to vote, put your social security card like in there. Put your ID in there. Put like your birth certificate in. Like, I don't get what the big fuss is over, honestly, on this. This bill would do nothing to safeguard our elections, but it would make it much harder for all eligible Americans to register to vote and increase the risk that eligible voters are purged from voter rolls, the White House said in a statement. So Associated Press writer Scott Bauer in Madison, Wisconsin, and Ally Swenson in New York contributed to this report. Okay. So this one from First Post basically says the same thing, but we're going to read a few of the parts. Republicans across various states are ramping up efforts to prevent non-citizen voting, despite the rarity of such incidents. So even a right-leaning source is admitting this. Measures include voter roll reviews, proposed unconstitutional amendments, and new laws, but critics argue these could unnecessarily restrict access for legal voters and fuel misconceptions about non-citizen voting. Again, this doesn't really do this because you can easily, you can literally get your social security card online, in the mail. You can go down to whatever your local government office is, pay the, $25 to get a new, a nothing burger. This is a nothing burger. Only U.S. citizens are eligible to vote in this fall's election for president and other top offices. While that is nothing new, the potential for non-citizens to register to vote has been receiving a lot of attention lately. Taking voter polls, issued executive orders, and placed constitutional amendment. No state constitutions explicitly allow non-citizens to vote, and many states have laws that prohibit non-citizens from voting for state offices. We've read this. Oh my god, is this just the same? This might be the same. Yeah, this is just the same article. I don't even think they... Okay, yeah, so even right-leaning sources are just reposting Associated Press. Which, I mean, to me, that's like, okay, well then, if you didn't take the time to add your input to it, then you agree with it, right? You agree with it? Okay. Washington Post, literally the same thing. Again. Let's see, all the way down. Is it, do they have it? Yeah, Associated Press, Scott Bauer. Yeah, okay. So, we've got those articles out of the way. Let's go over to our first little thing here. Remember Texas? Remember the 6,500 number? Yeah. Governor Greg Abbott today announced that since signing Senate Bill 1 into law in 2021, Texas has removed over 1 million people from the state's voters' rolls, including people who moved out of state, are deceased, and are non-citizens. That first number sounds scary, right? That 1 million people, but then it actually details it out. Election integrity is essential to our democracy, said Governor Abbott. I have signed the strongest election laws in the nation to protect the right to vote and to crack down on illegal voting. These reforms have led to, and yeah, that 65, if I remember correctly, that 6,500 number was based off of 3 years. 3 years of data. This is just Greg Abbott blustering. This is what we really want right here. So the total, right? The total removed over 1.1 million. Of that total, of that 3-year period that he's talking about, only 6,500 are non-citizens. But yeah, man, those illegals, they're gonna take over the country. They're gonna, oh boy. It's a joke, man. It's a fear-mongering joke. Let's go over, this one is Ohio, right? Yeah. Ohio, talking about the 100, what was it? 100 and, let me go back over the hill. Let's see. Ohio, Secretary of State, 138 apparent non-citizens found to have voted in a recent election, and 459 more who registered but did not vote. Ohio census data. 11 million plus people live in Ohio. It's less than 0.10%, 0.5, it's not even it's a drop. It's a drop in the bucket. And yet all these Republican officials, they're going to vote illegally, they're going to sway the election. No, they're not. What are you talking about? Let's go to Alabama. Alabama was talking about illegals. Secretary of Voice recently announced that 3,251 people previously identified as non-citizens by the federal government are being switched to an active status. Okay, cool. They're required to provide proof of citizenship and fill out a form. Alabama has more than 3 million registered voters. This is the census data. It has 5 million people living in Alabama. Again, a drop in the literal bucket. Does not matter. It is ridiculous that you're making this much fuss about it. Georgia. Yeah, Georgia. What was Georgia's? Let's see. Oh yeah, this was the 25-year one, only finding 1,634 people. Georgia's population is over 10 million. 25-year period, only found a little over 1,500 people. Georgia population over 10 million. Oh yes, Arizona. This is from Chris Mays, the Attorney General in Arizona, regarding what they found. Today, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays released documents related to the investigations into the handling of the 2020 election in Arizona. So this is an official government investigation released by the Attorney General. Despite Arizona Attorney General Office AAGO agents and support staff spending over 10,000 hours investigating voting irregularities and alleged instances of illegal voting by high-profile election deniers, a September 2022 summary prepared by AAGO Special Investigations Section stated, in each instance and in each matter, the aforementioned parties did not provide any evidence to support their allegations. The information that was provided was speculative in many instances, and when investigated by our agents and support staff, was found to be inaccurate. You know what this is? You know what this paragraph is? This is that one white asshole that you know that lives on your block that sees a brown person and is like, I better call the cops. Complaints and allegations submitted to the Arizona Attorney General's office by members of the public were also largely unsupported by factual evidence or found to be mischaracterizations when researched by agents and support staff. These allegations include the counting of duplicate votes, satellites controlled. Oh my god. Satellites controlled by the Italian military changing votes to favor Biden. Oh my god, I didn't pre-read this one, so that one hit really good. Arizona, bro, what is going on? What do you mean? What does this mean? Bamboo ballots and dead people voting in numbers that affected the outcome of the election, among others. The result of this exhaustive and extensive investigation show that we have suspected for over 2 years the 2020 election in Arizona was conducted fairly and accurately by elections officials, said Chris Mays. The 10,000 plus hours spent diligently investigating every conspiracy theory under the sun distracted this office from its core mission of protecting the people of Arizona from real crime and fraud. Seriously, 10,000 hours? Do you know how many tax dollars and wasted time the government spent doing this because Republicans wanted to be like, the illegals are taking over the border, and apparently the Italians are also involved? And while a small number of cases were submitted for prosecution review due to these investigations, these numbers align with historical trends. They do not indicate widespread fraud or conspiracy related to the 2020 election. Voter fraud is rare, and instances should be handled according to applicable law when they do occur, according to Mays. But it is time to work together to defend American democracy and uphold the rule of law. It's time for the divisiveness to stop, and it's time for our country to heal. This is directly from Chris Mays, directly from the Arizona Attorney General Office. And the Italians, apparently. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I thought this was interesting. So I looked into the Louisiana thing, because it was brought up in here, right? Okay, there it is. Although non-citizens voting already is prohibited by the state constitution, Republican Governor Jeff Landry of Louisiana is continuing to draw attention to the issue. He recently signed an executive order requiring state agencies that provide voter registration forms to include a written disclaimer that non-citizens are prohibited from voting. Now, there wasn't anything really to like research off of this paragraph, but I wanted to see if, Jeff Landry had removed people from voting, had done anything like the other states were doing. And while I didn't find anything like that, I did find two things. The Louisiana Secretary of State is named Nancy Landry. Now, I Googled this, and it says they're of no relation, and it says that the governor is married to someone else, I think someone named Sharon. But I just thought this was funny. But they're both last name was Landry. Anyway, think of that what you will. What I did find, though, was their registration statistics. So specifically from the state of Louisiana, like this is their data, like for people who are registered to vote. Do you want to take a guess how they categorize the people that they register? Just take a guess. Take like the next 5 seconds. Think about it, and you're probably wrong. This is the top. Louisiana Secretary of State statewide report of registered voters. Total, white, black, other. And they have the parties and whatnot, but it's literally just white, black, other. Yo, Louisiana, Governor Landry, I don't want to hear shit from you about illegals voting when this is how you categorize the people in your own voting system. Like, this is a joke. This is like some 1950s era registration data. What do you, like, are you a governor or are you a clown? I can't decide. Anyway, get rid of that. Oh yeah, Wisconsin. Let's go back over here. Wisconsin. Republicans have filed a pair of similar lawsuits in recent weeks that challenge the state's process for verifying whether a registered voter is a citizen. The lawsuits seek court orders requiring the Elections Commission to perform checks. Okay, so they filed lawsuits challenging the state's process for verifying whether a registered voter is a citizen. Came over here. General voter eligibility requirements. This is from their own, their Wisconsin government detailing what the requirements are. And this is as of 2021. Under Wisconsin statute, an individual is generally eligible to vote in Wisconsin if he or she is a United States citizen, is 18, has resided in the election district or ward in which he or she desires to vote for 28 consecutive days before the election. So, again, nothing. This is nothing. This is Republican bluster and fear-mongering. It says right there, black and white for you to read, you literally have to be a citizen to vote in Wisconsin. Like, I don't get it. I don't get what all the stupidity is about. Oh yeah, this is the thing I brought up earlier about people not wanting to go to jury duty, so they'll like try to get anything to get out of it. This is for North Carolina Judicial Branch. The clerk of court will issue payment by checks U.S. mail a few days after your jury service concludes. You get $12 if you're there for a day, and 20 days each day after. If you receive more than 5 days, you will receive $40 per day. Keep in mind, a lot of companies in southern states specifically, while it is illegal for them to fire you or discipline you for going to jury duty, it is not illegal for them to not pay you. And since most people are living paycheck to paycheck, this is a joke, North Carolina. So I don't want to hear you coming after people as non-citizens for not putting that they're a citizen to get out jury duty. Like, your jury, like, imagine actually trying to land that. Anyway, and this all the way down, this is what the new bill is. which is actually, from what I've read, is a decent bill. Like, it's literally just trying to require proof of citizenship, like, which you can prove with a social security card, a birth certificate, an ID, a passport. Two of those things are very easy to get. One of them is even free. So here's a summary of the bill, which is HR 8281. It requires individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. Okay, simple. Specifically, the bill prohibits states from accepting and processing an application to register to vote in a federal election unless the applicant presents documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. Okay, easy. Further, the bill, number 1, prohibits states from registering an individual to vote in a federal election unless, at the time of the individual applies to register to vote, the individual provides documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. So they could have literally, this law is so, I guess fair would be the word. Like, they're not even trying to do that sort of like Southern grandfathering in like garbage. It's literally just, can you prove you're a citizen? I don't care if you've been a citizen for the last hour or the last like 10 years. As long as you have something that proves you're a citizen, you can vote. Like, this is the thing to me that's like, okay, yeah, Democrats are also hamming this up. And 2, requires states to establish an alternative process under which an applicant may submit other evidence to demonstrate U.S. citizenship. Okay. Each state must take affirmative steps on an ongoing basis to ensure that only U.S. citizens are registered to vote, which shall include establishing a program to identify individuals who are not U.S. citizens using information supplied by specified sources. So this right here, the taking affirmative steps on an ongoing basis to ensure that U.S. citizens are registered to vote, I would love that. I would love to get like an email or a call once a year saying, hey, you're registered to vote, your stuff's in order. Like, I know how to check I'm registered to vote. I know how to investigate that myself. But just to take it out of my hands and say, hey, the government's calling me, they texted me, they emailed me, you're good to vote. Like, that would be great. I would love a system like that. Additionally, the bill requires states to remove non-citizens from their official lists of eligible voters. Love that. This bill allows for a private right of action against an election official who registers in a... Yep, love that. Get rid of the criminals. Republican or Democrat, don't care, you're both going to get the smoke. Bill establishes criminal penalties for certain offense, including registering applicant for vote, blah, 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 proof of citizenship. The Election Assistance Commission must, within 10 days, adopt and transmit guidance for implementing the bill's requirements to chief state elect. Okay, so this is just like a, hey, if this is passed, you have 10 days to comply. Okay. Yeah. So to get back to our main screen here. Everyone's covering illegal voting by non-citizens, right? Everyone's talking about it. Republicans are whinging and fear-mongering about it. Democrats are trying to play it off. You have all this information now. You have sat through the video, listened to me talk, listened to me give to you the information free of charge. As always, please form your own opinions on the information that you've heard. Educate yourself more than just watching this video. If you want more knowledge on this, go get it. Go look for it. Don't just look to me. You have to do some digging too. Watch out for the Italian military. They'll get you every time. This has been Let's Talk About Us. You have a good day.